there's always room for entrepreneurs to make their mark, simply because large companies cannot do everything, and they do have their core businesses to focus on. So I think there's still loads of areas of opportunity, both for innovation within Google and without. And in my particular job, I try and merge those two things together by identifying interesting trends that might fit into certain innovations that are happening internally, or that may add new areas completely that we hadn't thought about. So there are some particular characteristics of companies that we look for to make that match happen. And I would say there's probably 4 general buckets you can put acquisitions in that we do. The first bucket, I would say, is most likely the larger acquisitions we've done, the YouTubes, the Doubleclicks, where we probably analyze that market to death and understand the challenges and may even develop some technologies, but there have been some restrictions in why we haven't been able to execute or achieve the size of and success that we've wanted to. So we've often gone out and acquired the most successful, the global leader in that space, because it's a strategic area for us. The second bucket is more around some completely new areas that are almost bets on the future, you could say. That's where, although we have innovation internally and 20% time where engineers can experiment with different things, it's a recognition that sometimes innovation happens faster and more efficiently externally. And we've acquired a couple of companies that I think illustrate that. Android, which I'm sure you know on the mobile phone, was an acquisition at the time when nobody was dreaming about putting open standards and open systems on mobile handsets. That was a very early acquisition we did, and it was a bet on the future. Aardvark, which is another more recent acquisition, is a bet on the whole area of social search. And again, an area which you could say has not been part of our core DNA, but is a bet on how search may look in the future. The third bucket, I would say, is more sort of R&D driven. So we acquire companies that have deep expertise in a certain vertical, such as machine learning, artificial intelligence, semantic analysis, et cetera, vision, natural language, all these deep R&D based companies that I think have so much expertise that you could apply across a number of our products. And so that's more platform-based technology. I mean, what's transformed over the last few years on actually a platform that now supports open innovation and can support real revenue business models, and wall gardens have been collapsing, and smartphones have come which enable you to do things which you would never have thought about doing before, whether it's sort of vision recognition or natural language understanding in the palm of your hand or navigation. And there'll be new ad formats that are specific to the mobile as well, whether it's mobile coupons or click to call and things like that. So I think, again, mobile is very early on in the whole sort of monetization space. And then a fourth, I think, is simply a category of company that, as we look at our product roadmaps and we say, over the next year we want to achieve X, Y, and Z, sometimes it's more efficient, if the timing works out, to find companies that have perhaps already done that and achieved sort of reasonable success with user adoption and can prove that the feature works or the product works. And it's all about accelerating our go-to-market with that product line. And so if the match works, the culture works, and the timing works, an acquisition can happen. So those are what I would say are the 4 categories of companies that underpin the innovation that happens both internally and externally. So what's huge tomorrow? It's a great question. I think this thing called search is going to be big, don't you? I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure it will. I mean, I think that's the really good question, because it's difficult to know exactly, and which is why we have this sort of broad approach in our product range. But I can guarantee you one thing: search will be around still tomorrow. There's lots of nuances of search, and it's a hugely competitive area, and lots of startups are doing different things, whether it's social search, whether it's more semantic analysis, real-time search, or vision-based search. I think that's still an evolving field which has got a lot of more user benefit to come and will evolve a lot more. But sometimes, as I was saying before, we do make these sort of bets on the future. And we do that internally in terms of our 20% time for engineers, but we do that externally as well by making acquisitions once in a while for something that could turn out to be transformational, but we just don't know, and we need to at least have a stake to understand it better and maybe be more influential in that transformation. So even in well-established areas such as ads and search and mobile, I think there's many more innovations to come. As an entrepreneur, I would not hold back just because you think there's a large corporate there. Actually, that's more advantageous because it sort of gives a verification to the market you're in, and you're often more nimble in terms of resource allocation and spotting trends than a large corporate can be.